I stood in the shadows of my own backyard, watching through the kitchen window. Time seemed to freeze. There was my girlfriend, Catherine, and my closest friend, Harry, together on my kitchen counter. Betrayal is a funny thing. One minute, you're planning a future, the next, you're watching that future get torched by the two people you trusted most. In that moment, the grief I thought I had buried came roaring back as cold, calculating anger. They thought I was broken. They were about to find out just how sharp the pieces were. If you know that revenge is a dish best served cold, then you've come to the right place. Hit that subscribe button and give this video a like, because you are about to witness a masterclass in meticulous, life-altering justice. Let's dive in. To understand the revenge, you first have to understand the wreckage it was built upon. Before Catherine, there was Rachel, my wife. We'd known each other since we were kids, inseparable from the age of 6. We started dating at 16, married at 20, and at 22, she was pregnant with our son. Our life was perfect. And then it was obliterated. 5 weeks before she was due to go on maternity leave, a heavy-duty shelving unit at her workplace collapsed. It crushed her. I was told that she and our unborn son were killed instantly. The company, in a disgusting cost-cutting measure, had decided to keep using old, unsafe shelving they knew was a risk. They offered me compensation, blood money to keep me quiet. I refused. I wanted justice. It took 3 long years of legal battles, but we won. Executives were fired, some went to jail, and the company paid for what they did. But no amount of money could bring back my world. My mother moved in with me, bless her soul. I would have completely fallen apart without her. I buried myself in my work in telecommunications, which eventually led to a promotion that had me traveling but also allowed me to set up an office back in my hometown. I bought a second house there, a place to anchor myself. For 4 years, I just existed. I was a ghost haunting the edges of my own life. And that's where our story really begins. I was at a house party thrown by Harry, the managing director of my hometown's branch. We'd grown up together and had become close friends since I'd moved back. That night, he introduced me to Catherine. She was a new hire, and we hit it off immediately. It was a cliché, but looking at her felt like seeing a glimmer of the light I thought I'd lost forever with Rachel. Even our parents, mine and Rachel's, were happy for me. We dated for 2 years, and then she moved into my house in my hometown. For a year, everything was good. Then, things started to feel off. Skype calls would end abruptly. Neighbors would mention seeing a car that looked a lot like Harry's parked in the alley behind my house whenever I was away. I found clothes in my wardrobe that weren't mine. Every sign pointed to cheating, but she denied it all. Harry was just coming over to discuss business, she'd say. I told myself I was just being paranoid, haunted by loss and afraid to trust again. But the feeling that something was deeply wrong never went away. The truth came out about 6 months later. I'd just closed a huge contract, finishing days earlier than expected. I booked an early flight home to surprise Catherine. As I drove into my hometown, I decided to use the back alley, just to see if the mystery car was there. And sure enough, blocking the gate, was Harry's car. I parked and walked silently toward the house, my heart pounding a sick, heavy rhythm against my ribs. And then I saw them. Through the kitchen window. Going at it, right there on the counter where Catherine and I made breakfast. Time stopped. My vision tunneled. It was my best friend and my girlfriend, in my house, in our life. The air was sucked from my lungs. I felt a profound, hollow emptiness, a feeling of utter defeat. I stumbled back to my car, got in, and just broke. The tears came hard and fast, hot with the agony of a second, brutal betrayal. But then, the sadness curdled. It sharpened into a familiar, white-hot rage, the same rage I felt toward the men who killed Rachel. I'm a pacifist, but in that moment, I knew I was going to hurt them. I was going to systematically dismantle their lives. And I was going to start right now. I moved my car up the alley, out of sight, and called her phone. I watched them both freeze, see my name on the screen, and let it ring out. A moment later, they were back at it. I called again. This time, she answered, breathless. As she did, I hung up and walked back to my car. She immediately called back. "Why are you calling so late?" she asked, trying to sound normal. "Hey," I said, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. "Just wanted to let you know, I'm about 10 minutes from home. Didn't want to scare you." The panic in her voice was audible, even as she tried to fake excitement. The call ended quickly. Seconds later, I saw Harry, still half naked, burst out of the house, jump into his car, and peel out of the alley like a bat out of hell. A small, cold smile touched my lips. That fear was just an appetizer. That night, I lay beside her in bed, feigning sleep. My mind was a whirlwind of cold, hard plans. My mother taught me to let karma do its work. But I decided karma could use a helping hand. I would punish them separately, but destroy them completely. I knew Harry had a secret, a casual drug habit he tried to hide. I made a few calls to some, less reputable clients and discreetly acquired a stash of coke and weed. A month later, I hosted a barbecue. I made sure Harry was good and drunk, then insisted he stay the night. In the dead of night, while he was passed out, I went to work. I planted the drugs all over his car, with the largest stash hidden in the spare tire well. Then, for good measure, I drove his car to his house, helped the still drunken fool inside, and planted more drugs and some of my personal items there too. A few days later, before leaving for a business trip, I staged a break-in at my own house, smashing a back door panel and leaving it ajar. When I landed, my phone was blowing up. My panicked mom, a crying Catherine, and the local police. I played the part of the shocked victim, telling the police I'd be back next week to file a report. I had Catherine stay with my parents while I was away and arranged for a top-of-the-line security system to be installed, complete with cameras. When I got back, I walked through the house with the security rep and Catherine, playing the worried homeowner. Then, Catherine asked the exact question I knew she would. "What if we're, and don't want it to be recorded?" The rep showed us how to temporarily disable specific cameras from the home computer for privacy. As I walked the rep out, I asked him if there was a way to get a notification if a camera was turned off. He showed me how to set up email alerts. The trap was set. All I had to do was wait. Next, I consulted with a lawyer. I needed to ensure Catherine couldn't touch Rachel's estate. The lawyer confirmed that since we hadn't lived together long enough to be considered de facto, and since I paid for everything, she had no legal claim. He drew up an ironclad document just in case. Then, fate handed me the perfect exit strategy. My job offered me a promotion to run my team from the city office. No more travel. It was the perfect cover. I told Harry I was planning to propose to Catherine and wanted to send her on a surprise spa retreat with 2 friends to celebrate. He hugged me, congratulating me, completely oblivious to the cold hatred behind my embrace. That night, I presented the all-expenses-paid tropical vacation to Catherine. She screamed with joy. I told her the biggest surprise of her life would be waiting when she got back. And it would be. I told her I'd be away the week before her trip, preparing for my new promotion. In reality, I took 2 weeks of vacation on the other side of the country, mentally preparing for the storm I was about to unleash. The Sunday before she was due to leave, I flew back. Just as I expected, a quick drive-by confirmed Harry's car was in the alley. I checked my email. An alert from the security system confirmed the bedroom camera had been turned off for hours. I parked, blocked my number, and made the call. "Hello, police?" "I'm one of the neighbors," I said, my voice laced with fake concern. "There's a suspicious guy dealing drugs out of his car in the alley behind my house." I gave them Harry's license plate. They said a car was on its way. Then, I called Catherine. "Hey, I'm 10 minutes away. I know you're flying out tomorrow, but I couldn't wait to surprise you." Watching the security footage later, the chaos was beautiful. In seconds, Harry was a blur of frantic, half-dressed panic, flying out the door and into his car. And right on cue, As he sped away, a police car rounded the corner and gave chase. Perfect. The next day, I watched Catherine and her friends drive off on their spa vacation. As soon as they were gone, my real work began. I called a friend with a moving company. I spent the day packing every single one of Catherine's belongings into boxes. The rest of the week was a blur of logistics. I put the house on the rental market, organized cleaners, and finalized my transfer at work. The police called me to identify my stolen property they'd found in Harry's car and, after getting a warrant, his house. The town was buzzing. Harry was disgraced, fired, and facing prison time. Before I left town for good, I went to my parents' and Rachel's parents' house. I told them everything, omitting my role in Harry's downfall. They were upset I hadn't told them sooner, but were glad I was handling it maturely. My last stop was Becky's house, Rachel's childhood best friend and the one person I'd confided in. I handed her a large manila envelope. Inside was a letter for Catherine, evidence of the affair including timestamped video clips, legal documents ordering no contact, and the key and address to a storage unit containing all of her worldly possessions. Then, I got in my car and drove away from my hometown without a single glance in the rearview mirror. Catherine came home early from her trip, alerted by the small-town gossip mill. She found an empty house with a for rent sign out front. She spiraled, calling everyone, until Becky finally gave her the envelope. I woke up to a flood of enraged voicemails and texts, accusing me of setting Harry up, of being deceitful. But they were just noise. She was a socialite. I had killed her reputation. I had built her up with the fantasy of a perfect life, only to have her return to an absolute nightmare. It was the emotional equivalent of what she had done to me. Some people might call what I did cruel. But they didn't stand in that alley and watch their world crumble for a second time. I simply held up a mirror and forced them to look at their own reflections. What do you think? Was this revenge justified, or did it cross a line? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more tales of epic revenge. Share this with anyone who appreciates a well-laid plan. Thanks for listening.